What's going on, Summoners? My name is Nathan Ng, and I'm here to welcome you guys back to our channel. We here at ProGuides have got a quick treat for you guys, as we've just been informed that Kayle and Ahri are set to receive some changes to their mechanics. The plan is for these buffs to go live by patch 10.18, so don't expect them to hit the servers immediately. These changes should amount to very small buffs to both champions, and with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. Real quick though, I do want to mention that we're always going to give you guys updates about stuff like this, so make sure to hit that subscribe button so we can inform you guys about all the latest news in regards to the game as well as some balance changes. First up, let's go ahead and talk about the changes to Ahri. Ahri's passive is set to get an overhaul. At the moment, Ahri gains 20% movement speed for 3 seconds whenever she lands 2 abilities against champions within 1.5 seconds. It's a nice rewarding mechanic that allows you to get in and out for some quick bursty trades, or sometimes can chase down your opponents for kills instead. Well, this part is being removed from her passive, but don't panic just yet. We'll be talking more about this in a little bit. Instead, Ahri's passive will be renamed to Essence Theft, and if you play her, then you should be very familiar with the name because it's part of her Q. Just like her Q's current passive, Ahri will gain a stack of Essence Theft every time that she hits an enemy with an ability. A single ability can grant up to 3 stacks of Essence. Also, once Ahri reaches 9 stacks, her next ability that hits an enemy champion will heal her, but the big change here is that instead of healing her for each enemy hit, she gains a flat but powerful heal. At the moment, the numbers are tuned to be 30, 60, 90, and 180 based on level plus 27% of her AP. This is going to be a buff in most cases because her current Q's healing has conditions that must be met. She needs to line up a Q and hit several enemies, but with a flat heal, she'll gain a maximum value out of it every single time that she hits anybody with her abilities. With this change, it should be pretty clear that her Q will no longer have the healing effect on it. Alright, so where did that movement speed go? It's gonna end up on her W. Whenever Ahri casts her W, she'll gain a burst of 40% movement speed that decays over a second and a half. This will be pretty convenient because now she'll be able to access that bonus movement speed at will. She doesn't even need to land any abilities to do so, which is extremely helpful when she's out of range to begin with. At the moment, if Ahri is out of range, then she'll have to ult onto the target or flash onto them in order to land some abilities and gain that movement speed buff. With this change, Ahri players will have much more flexibility than before. To compensate for this, however, the cooldown is being increased by a second at all ranks, meaning that the scaling will go up from the current 9 to 5 seconds to 10 to 6 seconds. Finally, the mana cost will be increased from 40 flat to 55 flat. However, it's also receiving a nice little buff as well, as it'll also do 200% damage to minions below 20% health. It'll be easier for Ahri to clear waves, and I'm sure that newer players will appreciate the last hitting assistance. Overall, these buffs should make it so that players can much more easily utilize Ahri's entire kit. The movement speed and sustain feel very conditional at the moment, which isn't bad by any means. But if you think about it, considering the sorts of champions that we see in the game at the moment, it seems pretty appropriate to give Ahri a nice little quality of life buff so players can fully utilize her abilities. Next is Kayle. It feels like there's only one way to play Kayle at the moment: farm, don't die, and hold on for dear life. It's okay to have champions like this, but I'm sure most of us would agree that it's not very fun for either side. Riot is planning to make some changes to Kayle so that there will be more interaction and fighting during the laning phase. The first change being made is that Q will no longer refund mana even after hitting champions. Hitting the wave alongside an enemy champion was a little bit too rewarding, as this could ensure that Kayle players can maintain enough mana to safely farm up and then never need to risk taking any fights. Taking the refund out should still leave farming with Q and using it to poke as a viable option, but that will be a little bit harder to capitalize on than before. Next, her W's mana cost is being increased by 20, so instead of the current 70 to 110 mana cost, it'll cost 90 to 130. These increased mana costs inevitably mean that Kayle will have to fight more or sacrifice more than she currently does if she wants to safely farm. Now, the final change is a buff to her E. The cooldown on it will scale down, so instead of just being 8 flat, it'll go down to 6 seconds whenever the ability is maxed out. While she gained mana costs elsewhere, Kayle's E will soon cost 0 mana, and the missile speed is more than doubled, going from 2,000 to 5,000. Farming is still an option for Kayle because her E will now cost no mana, but she'll have to get in range of her opponents much more often to do so. Her Q's range and wave clear is enough for her to not interact with lane opponents, so these changes should hopefully force Kayle to stand up to her opponents and then fight them every once in a while. For Kayle players that actively take skirmishes and try to outplay their opponents, this is probably the best news that can come all season. With changes like these, it's also no surprise that Riot is also planning to make some user interface changes. The tooltips for her champion abilities are going to be receiving a very small revamp very soon. We'll be able to see a lot more information regarding every ability, including the value of things like damage, mana cost, or utility effects for all ranks of the abilities at once. Of course, your current value will be highlighted for clarity, so essentially while Kayle and Ahri are receiving major quality of life changes, every champion is getting a little bit of love very soon. Alright, that about wraps up this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, we love keeping you guys informed about stuff like this, so leave a comment and make sure to subscribe so we can notify you guys about similar content that we'll be releasing in the future. Check out ProGuides.com as well because we got a ton of courses and coaches that would love to help you guys improve. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.